Let's be honest. If your ex has an avoidant attachment style, then you can't win them back by appealing to their emotions, by being romantic, or by talking things out. The more you chase them, the faster they'll run away. And the more you push them, the more they'll hide from you. But there is actually one thing that you can do that will make your avoidant ex open up and want to connect with you again. Now, this course of action is rooted in the psychology of avoidance, and it has proven effective in the real world. So let's talk about it. I'm Brad Browning, and as a best-selling author and breakup coach, I've been studying attachment styles for the last 15 years. And I've learned that avoidant attachment really isn't what people think it is. It's not a lack of emotion or a tendency to solitude. It's really about fear. People with avoidant attachment were often raised in environments where their emotional needs were minimized or ignored. They learned that intimacy meant pain. So when you approach them with an open heart and you try to talk about what you're feeling and what went wrong in your relationship, their nervous system immediately goes into overdrive. In fact, in a 2018 study in the Journal of Personality and Social Psychology, they found that avoidant people experience physiological stress and raised cortisol levels during emotionally intense interactions, even when they actually want to connect. Their heart beats faster, they start to sweat, they can't make eye contact because they're too busy looking for the nearest exit. And while they may not physically run away, emotionally, they're on another continent. They're not present and willing to connect with you because just the idea of having this conversation is making them want to pull away from you. But they're not doing this because they don't want you or because they don't care. They're doing it because they're scared and their self-defense mechanisms are kicking in. So how can you break down this wall? If you can show to your ex that they can get close to you without any alarm bells going off, then they're going to be much more open to getting back together. And if you can create this new dynamic, then they're going to want to connect with you rather than running away. Over time, they'll be more and more willing to open up, and all these problems are going to slowly but surely disappear. Basically, if you want your avoidant ex to open up, first you have to stop trying to make them open up. So instead of pursuing them directly, you need to project calm, self-sufficient, emotional independence. Because this is going to take all the pressure off your ex and allow them to relax and really be themselves. So then, how do we deactivate the alarm? Well, according to a 2018 study published in the journal Current Opinion in Psychology, avoidant people strive to create and maintain independence, control, and autonomy in their relationships because they believe that seeking psychological and emotional proximity to romantic partners is not possible. So really, this is what we have to get over. The avoidant thinks that closeness isn't sustainable because it brings with it new demands, new expectations, and a loss of freedom. So here's an example. Let's say the two of you and your avoidant ex you're talking again and the vibes are good. You get excited and you immediately suggest meeting up for drinks. And that is when they freeze up. Now your ex does want to see you, but they fear that if they agree, they'll be setting a precedent. Maybe you'll expect to hook up. Maybe you'll expect to get back together. Maybe you'll think that you can ask for more and more closeness until they feel overwhelmed and confused. Now, they're not sure what they want right now, and they think that connecting in really any way is going to lock them into a decision. You're going to, start to rely on them emotionally, and this is going to restrict their freedom. So you need to show your ex that this is not the case. They need to see that you're strong, that you're independent, and that you can live without them. So here's how to make that happen. It starts with number one, which is to stop over-communicating. Because when you start talking to your ex again, it's tempting to tell them really everything that they've missed in your life. Catch up on all they've been up to and just pick up exactly where the two of you left off. You want to recreate the versions of you two before all of the nasty breakup business. But remember, those two people were speeding towards a breakup. So instead, you want to change the dynamic. Be more distant. Be less aggressive with them. Keep your feelings to yourself and don't update them on every little thing they've missed. Now, I know it can be really hard to fight this natural impulse, especially when dealing with an avoidant. It's very common for avoidants to be pretty reserved, which can make you feel like, you have to fill all the dead air and you have to carry on the conversation. But resist that urge and don't do it. Give them a little space and let them say what they want to say. Now, this is something that I'm going to talk more about, but it's almost always best practice to maintain distance and let the avoidant come to you. This is a great way to foster emotional safety. Now, if you happen to be getting lonely during this time and you need someone to vent to about your breakup, why not reach out to me? My one-on-one coaching has helped thousands of people reconnect with the person that they love most in the world. And you can find all the information you need about my coaching at breakupbrad.com/coaching. I really do recommend you at least consider it if you're serious about getting a second chance with your ex. Again, see my availability, get all the details, and get started today at breakupbrad.com/coaching. But now let's move on to the second piece of advice, which is respect the situation. So one thing that I see all the time is avoidance running away once it becomes clear that the other person doesn't respect their decision to break up. So don't treat the breakup like a misunderstanding or a small fight. And don't treat them like, the two of you are still in a relationship and they still owe you all the same things they did before the breakup. Because when you do that, they think that you can't really face reality and that you're not getting the message. And then they're going to turn to the only thing they know, which is more avoidance. Now, I know why people do this. It's because they really don't know this person in any other context. They look at them and see their partner, and even if they were able to accept the breakup, they wouldn't know how to deal with them as an ex. So early on, don't be too cute or flirty. Don't be cuddly or touchy. Don't lean on old inside jokes from your relationship together. You might think you're just being friendly, but an avoidant might see this as an attempt to get closer to them, and in the early stages, that's probably going to feel like a threat to them. Now, the closeness will come with time, but early on, you do need to keep some distance and at least feel things out. Don't be overly familiar, or it'll make them uncomfortable. If necessary, you can acknowledge the awkwardness of the situation, because that can sometimes help to break the tension and clear the air. But above all, stop treating them like your partner, because they're not your partner. They're your ex, at least for now. You can, of course, leave room for that to change, but you don't want to take this relationship for granted, or you are going to end up losing them all over again. And number 3, focus on emotional regulation. Remember, emotional independence means that you don't need your ex to solve your problems or to make you feel better when things don't go your way. Often, a lack of emotional independence can lead you into this trap because, it means that you use your ex as a stopgap. You'd lose your water bottle at the gym and then you'd come home to get them to cheer you up. Have a rough day at work and you expect them to cuddle with you for an hour that evening. Maybe you get in a fight with your mom and they'd have to dry your tears and take your side every time. Now, granted, these are natural human responses to difficult times, and it is okay to lean on your partner for support. But when they're the first and last line of defense in every tough situation, it does become really exhausting. So focus on finding new people and activities that provide you that emotional release. Exercise, journaling, venting to another friend. There's a lot of options available that aren't going to put a strain on your relationship. Now, doing these things may not be as immediately satisfying, but remember, you're building those emotional muscles so that you're able to stand on your own 2 feet. And by doing this, you're going to show your ex that you're not going to make constant emotional demands of them. Now, if you want to get that satisfaction without interacting with your ex and destroying your progress, please watch my recent video on this. It's called 6 Signs That Your Avoidant Ex Misses You, and you can watch it right now through the link in the description below or the pop-up here in the corner. So check that one out after if you want to know the truth about your ex's feelings. But now let's talk about number 4, which is to give them space to miss you. See, if you move too quickly, your ex is never going to have an opportunity to really miss your presence in their life. And really, this is the main reason that they took you for granted in the first place. You were too available, you were too present, and too communicative with them. Now, I know that being present is important, but if you're never absent, then you start to blend in with the wallpaper and your ex just stops seeing you. So keep your distance and let them really feel the loss. Take the time to focus on yourself and getting yourself back on track. Build your emotional regulation strategies and rebuild your self-esteem so that you see that you really can make it without your ex. And remember, letting them come to you is almost always going to create a better connection in the long run because it will give them a chance to reach out to you rather than them always being the one who's sought after. Now, of course, it is going to take a little longer than it will with your average person. That's what makes them avoidant, and that's why you're in this situation in the first place. You took the lead because they weren't moving as fast as you'd like. So please try it my way and be patient. And while you're waiting, you might also want to watch my latest video, which is all about what you need to say to your avoidant ex if you want them back. And you can find a link to that in the description right in the corner here. For now, thank you so much for watching to the end. Thank you for liking this video and subscribing to my channel. Please leave me a comment telling me how long it's been since your breakup. It really helps me to know what you guys are going through so that I know what I can talk about in future videos. Best of luck with your avoidant ex. See you again soon.